Let's see if I can zoom in real close here. Watch that pin on the deck post and watch that holding hook. You see it jump up a little bit? Let's watch it on second ball. It might be a little more clear. Something is out of time here. I don't know what. It could be the 4-to-1. More than likely, it's the 2-to-1. It's behind or retarded by 1 tooth from the rest of the gear timing in the gearbox. Let's shut that noise off. I think this 2-to-1 is installed out of time by 1 tooth. But guess what? It still runs perfectly fine. I just happened to notice while I was here doing some pin gate shoulder bolt replacement. Crazy, huh? I bet it's been that way for 20 plus years. So this is going to be our first serious video for today. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. These are A2 pin setters. The complaint on this one was that pins would fall over when setting a new rack. Not every time, occasionally. They think that the pin bases are worn out. Let's take a pin. And I would tend to agree with that assessment. But we should look at our deck cable adjustment as well. You know, we don't know. There's a good chance it's out of spec, right? Because they don't have a full-time technician to do preventive maintenance and service. And I'm only here 1 day a week. But what they did is they said, well, if pins fall over, just plug the reset button back in and they can just re-rack it until they get a rack of pins that doesn't fall over. Which leads us to our other problem. The cycle solenoid has melted because it got stuck in. We all know, we're all aware now, and we have been for some time, that those mid-90s ball racks up front have a tendency to have the button stick in the closed position and supply constant voltage to these solenoids. And when that happens, they get very, very, very hot. And the inner plastic sleeve where the plunger rides melts. And that's exactly what's happened here. I have done a couple of cycle solenoid swap out videos. If you do want to see that process, feel free. You can go backwards in time and check that out. We don't need to cover it again, I don't think. But I just thought I'd point out that one problem is never just one problem, right? Oh man, if you guys had smell-o-vision, it reeks of burning plastic right now. It is very, very strong. Yee. The plunger's like stuck. I had trouble getting this cover off. I had to get a little creative, but we're making progress. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the metal has kind of changed colors along the top of this. It's kind of turned a more of a darker red color rather than its kind of gold copper color. She got really hot. Look at this. It lives there now. It's not ever coming back out. This new solenoid is a Deltrol brand or Deltrol style. I'm not as big of a fan of this style compared to the Guardian style, but that's just personal preference, right? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Yeah, that's too bad about that reset button sticking, because that, you know, it is what it is. We knew, or I advised them of what the possibility was, and it happened, you know. Nothing to get mad about, and just, you know, we have to fix this before we can go check the deck cable. And if the deck cable adjustment's good, then we, you know, have to tell them you've got crappy pins, and there's not much more we can do. Let me rephrase that. Deck height adjustment when setting new pins is a pretty big deal as well. These are running lowering links. I believe we're supposed to go 15/16 deck height off of the surface of the lane when setting new pins. I'm sure that we're probably pretty good, but you know, it's not just the deck cable adjustment, right? So we've got our new solenoid mounted in there, wired in. My elbows, man, I've been replacing no slide pin spots on our pin decks at normal work, and I've got blisters on my elbows from commando crawling, and I'm using this platform as an elbow rest while I work, and I'm realizing very, very quickly that I have injuries and they bug me. So we've got everything put back together. Now we have to trip the clutch and bring the machine into 180 degrees so we can adjust our solenoid. So our machine is at 180 degrees waiting for pins. These are slotted, right? Your solenoid can move up and down, up and down. What we want to do is we want to engage the solenoid plunger, and we're looking for a gap between the shoulder and the roller. I'm going to ballpark it roughly 1/8 of an inch. That's good. We can tighten these screws down, and then we can continue our investigation into why this machine is knocking pins over when it's setting a new rack. This has been more of a side quest than imagined. Let's power it back up. Oh, hold on. First, I have to clear all this mess off first. That's better. Yeah, don't leave stuff here when you turn the machine on. It can fall out either onto the floor or into the machines, and that would not be good. So let's see what we can see. Oh, yeah. Whoa, did you see that? Let's watch that one more time, kind of in slow motion. You see that deck jump forward? We have, shh, quiet. We have a few things going on here, but let's watch this deck shift. I'm gonna jog it by the circuit breaker. Let's watch it set pins slowly on the lane. Right here. Huh. That actually didn't look too bad going super slow-mo. Weird. Let's watch that again in even super duper slower motion and zoom in. That might be too much zoom. All right. So we're just above the surface of the pin deck, the surface of the lane. The pins are about to touch down. Touch the lane. Deck bumps them. Not the spotting fingers. The deck bumps the belly of the pins on the front side. Watch our one-to-one. Little bit. I did see it while we were running through that last bit, but it happened so fast that you may not have picked up on it. So we're just about 270 setting new pins on the ground. Check this out. They've got a bad one-to-one. So what's happening here is that as that one-to-one is driving, it's hitting that dead keyway or worn out keyway, and it's bouncing, it's popping just a little bit. That pop is translating into the deck cable being jerked ever so slightly, right at 270. I don't know if we can adjust the cable to try and hide this, we're gonna try. So what we are gonna do in order to try and cheat the system here is we're gonna tighten our deck cable. We're gonna thread our cable in a little bit, and that should pull our moving deck forward ever so slightly. So maybe we can get lucky here, maybe we won't. We don't know yet. We have to find out. So I got that cable as tight as I could make it. All the threads are bottomed out. It may not be enough, but let me see if I can get a flashlight up there. Zoom in. Can you see kind of the condition of that moving deck cam follower bearing? You see the red rust on the sides of it? That bearing is also bad. And that's not helping our situation at all. Yeah, I noticed this glitter on the deck lift shaft and then just kind of looked up and discovered that that bearing is not in great shape either. So let's watch this again. After having made as much of a deck cable adjustment as we could, that's actually substantially better. That might actually pass. So our scissor cam follower bearing right here is looking pretty bad. Our moving deck cam follower bearing is looking pretty bad. We know our one-to-one's got a bad key. You know, this is pretty unfortunate. This machine needs more work than I can really dedicate time to give it. But that could be kind of said for most of the equipment in this building, right? So I've been cycling this machine for about 15 minutes and we haven't had any pins fall over. So I think that we can call this better. I don't want to call it good. Acceptable? That might be a good word. Let's call it acceptable for right now. The issue on this one is an oil leak coming from the gearbox. Let me shift the light a little bit. You can see this pin has backed out. And it has worn a hole into the bottom of the gearbox and punctured it. Awesome. So we can try and shift that pin back into place and then see what we can do on this gearbox housing. Now we might come up with something creative. I don't know. Like I said, these guys want to put new machines in here soon, so they may not be wanting to do major work at this point. So we have the deck improperly supported with a couple of makeshift bowling pins. This is not the way to do it. But I don't have any 2x4s with me, and I don't think they have any 2x4s here to set the deck down on blocks. That's the way to do it. Do as I say, not as I do, right? So now we've got all of our weight off of our link here, our lowering link. We're gonna see if we can slide this pin back in. I have a new Spiralux and a flat washer to go on this end. Everything's a hammer. Okay, so we've got that pin back in place. We've got a washer, and we've got our Spiralux installed in there. What I'm gonna have them do, Kelly's gonna come in behind me. He's gonna clean all this stuff off with some brake clean and scrubby brush. And then we're going to get some Bondo steel stick. And we are going to apply that over our gearbox hole here. So they can get a little more leak-free life out of this gearbox without needing to remove and replace the entire gearbox assembly. So we're gonna put the pin in this one here. We've done as much as we can do. Well, they had one more thing on their list. They had a power lift motor, had a bad poly V drive sheave on it, and unfortunately we cannot locate any spare drive sheaves. I thought we had some, but I don't know, I can't find them. So they're gonna order some in, and we'll probably do that next week. Well, hopefully you enjoy this video as much fun as it was for me to make it. That kind of came out wrong, but whatever. It's time to pack up and go home. My brain is not braining very good anymore. Oh, I was almost done packing up, and somebody showed up with brake clean and JB Weld, so yep, just gonna hose her down real good. Unfortunately, I mean, it's the green can. It's better than no brake clean, but it's not as good as the red stuff, I don't think. If you haven't used this JB Weld, it's too dark, steel stick, it's a 2-part putty epoxy. You just snap off what you need from the stick and mix it together. We're gonna mix it together until we've got an even color, and then we're just gonna shmoo it in there. Well, it's official, I guess. I am now a member of the Bondo Banditos. Not super proud of it, but you know, desperate times cause for desperate measures.